wonder how I got here. What did I do to get here? Somehow I made the wrong.
Welcome to Life in Focus with Bill Pyant. And today's guest, I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Ashley Watkins.
Hi, I'm Jalen Penn.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about building healthy relationships. And how do you know if the person you're with is really a godly person? Who wants to go first?
The first thing that kind of pops up in my head is being able to recognize a person's spirit, being able to have, discernment to actually see a person for who they are beyond what they show you.
Okay.
And really paying attention to if their words are aligning with their actions. Are they staying committed to the things that they're saying? Are they following through? Are they, a man of their word? Do they have integrity? How do you treat people when you're angry? How do you treat the janitor? Do you speak to them? Are you friendly when it comes to being in a restaurant? I don't know. I think those are kind of some of the things.
You named about 5 or 6 different godly principles because the Bible tells us not to be a respecter of person. So if that person is treating the janitor different than he's treating the owner of a club or owner of a store, then you know that he has ungodly principles. So I can see that. So yeah, you rattled off about 5 or 6 things. And if he does what he says he's supposed to do, right? What about you?
Man, I think she kind of named them all, but kind of the same. Just watching a person's actions. The Bible says to watch a person's fruits. What's the fruit looks like in a person, and not what just they say, what they tell you. Anyone can tell you that they love you, but do they treat you with love? Okay. Same with family and friends. How do they treat their family and friends? All those things kind of make sense. And to tell if that person is godly or not, and just being kind, having a certain heart, a certain heart posture, can tell you everything about a person. So I think that would be.
So what do you do when you have disagreements? How are they set up?
Communicate. Be able to identify your emotions and understanding, like, okay, you know what? If you feel yourself getting heated, walk away. Take a moment to pause. Go take a deep breath. I think one of the things that we personally do is say, hey, I'm not leaving you. I'm just walking away from this conversation because it's becoming a bit much right now.
Definitely. That's that has actually happened before where, one person had to just kind of walk away, to leave that atmosphere, and just come back later, or, hey, apologizing, and being very sorrowful. It goes a long way because once you change that action, now the conversation is different. Now we're not angry because an apology can turn a situation around. If you're truly sorry, and that conversation turns into an angry conversation, into a kind of more positive and calming conversation. And then when that happens, you can have a conversation about anything. So
okay, yeah. You sound different from a lot of young people I met today because I'll be frank with you. When I went on the internet and I started searching, doing some research, and I went to YouTube, I found more videos where black men talk very poorly of black women and black women talk very poorly of black men. Is this a phenomenon that's going on today, or did I just pull a couple bad videos?
No.
No.
That's
Our generation, man. It's kind of like what we talked about before we started the podcast. Growing up as a boy, but growing up as a man of God. I think it goes back to that because we live in a generation where a lot of us aren't in the Word. A lot of us aren't going to church and on that track or that pathway with figuring out their part in the kingdom, Okay. And a lot of people don't even know that. I have a lot of friends, like we spoke about before, all they care about is, money, this, business, this, women, this, and all that stuff is all dandy. But the biggest goal is, salvation, changing your heart posture, your soul, and understanding how real this is. And one thing that kind of got me to change was understanding what's at stake. And once I kept hearing that word, what's at stake, it scared me, you know, and what's at stake is your soul, you know, and living in two separate places for eternity. You know, that word eternity scares me a lot. And you got people our age from 25 to 29, and they don't think like that, you know. I remember speaking to a 38-year-old one day, and he didn't know what salvation was at all. And I felt bad. And after telling him, I saw the joy, you know, and many people need to hear what's at stake, need to hear, you know, the goodness of Jesus, because at the end of the day, it's good news.
Before we got started and we were setting up and doing the mic check and doing the camera check, we were talking about Pastor Buchanan, Voddie. I always pronounce his name wrong.
Yeah.
Voddie Buchanan. And we talked about when he had one video on there about the 3 B's. And we were talking about that and how we judge manhood by the 3 B's. What is it? On the ball field, the billfold, and the bedroom.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yes. And the point that I was making is men don't understand that being a provider is more than those things. Being a provider is having emotional intelligence. It's knowing how to have an effective conversation. It's being able to control yourself when you're angry and not allowing, you know, that's the emotion to consume you to the point where now, like you're saying, you become disrespectful. And that kind of leads into what you just mentioned. No, those videos are accurate. That's the times that we living in, even probably before our generation. Honestly, it's just now more public. It's more publicized because we just have social media and just access to these things. But people are misleading. Right.
If that video is accurate, I feel sorry. I would not want to be dating right now. Today.
Believe me,
the dating pool is very small right now.
It is not
definitely
fun.
Small. It's small. It's light.
So when young people tell me they're having problems finding somebody who's Christ-like, they're spitting the truth.
Yes. What? No, that's not what? Oh my goodness.
Because no one's doing it. No one's speaking. You know, it takes situations like this, atmospheres like this, to where we can reach other people. You know, because in certain workplaces, you know, sports, they're not talking about this, man. They're talking about money. They're talking about who's the best NFL. You know, we love the Lions, but that's more talk than you know.
You know what's so bad about this? Every Sunday, my wife and my daughter watch the Lions. I'm usually wandering around the house doing something different. My daughter will tell you I'm not a big sports fan, but what happened was I was in Costco and I saw this, right. I like the blue and the gray, and I said, this is nice. Yeah. I didn't pay attention to the logo, but
no, go Lions for sure. No, definitely go. We love Lions. They're killing it right now.
We got to represent the home team.
Yeah,
that's right.
But it's just, you know, what I'm saying is it's just more talk about things that don't matter much.
Right.
We have a lot of surface level conversations and not really having conversations to understand each other, to learn each other. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of young couples are together just for a companionship, not really to grow, not to have a foundation, not to build.
But if you look at it biblically, that's one of the reasons why God made woman. He made the man and made the woman, and one of them was companionship. That we're not made to be alone. I really truly believe that the natural state of a man is to be married, is to have that other person, that significant other, that to have that wife, someone that they can take care of. Because I've always said that Jesus Christ was a servant. He was our leader, but he was also a servant to us. He saw to our needs. And since we as a man are supposed to fashion ourselves after Christ and be to our wives as Christ was to the church, that means that we have to stand at the door and knock and wait for you to invite us in. And we have to wash your feet, you not wash our feet.
Definitely.
So I always tell men that you have to be a servant leader. And I don't know if this is really relevant now, because I always felt that to judge how well a man is doing or how good a man he is that you look at his wife and his children, and if he's provided that environment for them to thrive in, then you have a man who is successful. Your opinion?
Ooh, yes. You bring up a very good point that I also think is very relevant in today's generation. So you may hear like the terms of soft girl era, or I'm being feminine, and you know, things of that sort, right? And so when it comes to partnership, that's so important. It's so important. It's 2 points I want to make to that. First point is we have to make sure that we are becoming what we are asking for.
Okay.
What I mean by that, as a woman, I cannot ask for him to provide me with love if I have not taken the time to love myself, because me loving myself produces that love for him, and it becomes a full circle component, right? Also, I couldn't be asking for him to be kind to me if I'm speaking to him in a tone that's demeaning.
Okay, so in other words, you're big on mutual respect.
Yep. Yes. Building mutual respect.
And to kind of piggyback off of what she was saying, I think love is the biggest key right there, because, you know, in the Bible it says to love your wife as you love yourself.
Right.
And so, you know, you won't be able to treat her a certain way if you don't love yourself, you know.
Now, I've been saying that for the longest. I'm glad to hear someone else say it too.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, and you know, if you don't truly love yourself, and that can look, you know, in so many different ways, you know, it'll be hard for you to love someone. And so because that happens, marriage isn't even nowhere near it, you know? And so love, I think, is just that key, you know. That's the biggest key.
So, and one of the things we had talked about, and I said, and I kind of backed away from, was using the term grown-up boy versus a godly man. Does that really apply?
Yes. I think that we have a lot of, and I'm going to say something different, grown boys.
Right. Grown-up boys.
Okay, you did say that. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Nothing sorry about. I like the fact that someone else thinks about it in those terms besides me, because I thought I was being a little too rough by coming out saying, okay, stop being a grown-up boy and become a man.
Yeah. Okay, so the second point that I didn't make is honesty. You have to be honest with yourself to be honest with your partner, and this goes right into that, because you have to not only hold yourself accountable, but you have to hold your partner accountable too, but you have to make sure you're doing it in a gentle way, in a respectful way, in a way where they can receive what you have to say and not feel like you are trying to attack them or, you know, becoming demeaning, belittling. You know, it's going again to that mutual respect. When we talk about grown boys, it's a lot of people who, just because you are at a level maturity wise or age wise, okay, let's just say I'm 33, but internally you may be 18, and there's a lot of factors that go into that, trauma being the number one factor. We don't recognize that the experiences that we have in life as individuals do impact us, and so just because we age and we become older doesn't necessarily mean we become more mature.
Now, so you bring up a good point that I've always thought about, and people have heard me say it, is that you cannot hold a person responsible for what they don't know.
Absolutely.
And what I've discovered, exactly, and what I've discovered is a lot of people now coming up today, excuse me, don't know how to be a husband, don't know how to be a full-grown man, don't know how to be a father, or don't know how to be a wife, or don't know how to be a mother, because they didn't have good examples, or they didn't have one growing up.
And this is a great example that I would like to elaborate on. Think about this. At what age do you finally be able to make a choice? What would you say? Okay.
Well, I think that people start making choices around 13.
Okay. What would you say?
I would say, around between the ages of like 13, 17 after high school.
Perfect, right? You're both correct. And so, but prior to that, choices were being made for you.
Exactly.
Even when we think about the age of 13 to, let's just say, 17, you're still learning what it means to have a voice, to identify your interests, your hobbies. You know, you're really learning yourself. And so while you're making these choices are for self. Right. So then we graduate high school, we turn 17, 18. Ooh, I'm grown, right? We get excited with this. This is what the world tells us. But prior to that, we don't understand responsibilities. We don't know what it means to make mature decisions and choices, because if we didn't have it, how do we know? We're only living life based on the environments, our circumstances, the friends that we have, the conditions of our family. What else do we know outside of that? So then we become 21. Oh, I'm an adult. Now you have these responsibilities. You have, you know, other.
But it sounds like they're 21. They got these responsibilities, but no one taught them how to accept those responsibilities.
Exactly, because what you don't understand is you never had a foundation. And if you weren't taught these things, you're operating from this lack thereof, but not understanding that that's what it is. Because you just are living your life, you know? You can't, once again, it goes back. You can't help what you didn't know. But that's why we don't recognize we show up as who we are until we learn better, until we can take the necessary steps to heal.
Yeah, now you just gave me another question for both of you. Okay. A person grows up, they don't know. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about young men today, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong, but this is open discussion, and I don't have no magic ball, and I'm not always right. But the thing I'm noticing is young men today coming up are more loyal to their mothers and their immediate family, all related to like brothers and sisters, than they are to their spouse or to their own kids. Is that something that's true? Where now, you know, they get with a young lady rather than cleaving unto that woman, you know, like the Bible says,
Yep.
right? Where you know, he shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife. That they don't leave their moms, and they kind of have their wife out there, or you know, kind of hanging out there in the middle of nowhere. Is that? I mean, is that what you're saying?
I think you make a good point. How do you know?
But see, if I'm a young lady, I won't know you like that until I get married. And then all of a sudden, maybe
No,
there's
because the signs are
there's
there.
some other signs.
Yep.
Red
no,
flags.
Exactly.
That's our new generation term. You got to watch the red flags.
Okay.
You know, and so red flags is exactly what you just said. If he's already showing that before marriage, you know, whether you're in a relationship for however long, then that's something you got to pick up on. That's something you have to see. So that's something.
So that's something you need to look at as a young lady to see.
Absolutely, because we know. I don't care what nobody say. If you are present in your relationship and you are being attentive, you know. I know when he doesn't have to say a word. I can
So
feel it.
then why do young ladies still hook up with this guy?
Oh man, that's
You
a
got
whole
many
different
different
conversation.
Many different reasons right
That's a
there.
whole nother podcast episode alone.
Oh, yeah.
No, honestly.
I'm gonna have you back so we can talk about that one.
I will say this: how do we understand the concept of self-love if we've never taught it?
Okay, so in other words, you're saying not just young men are suffering from this lack of self-love, but also young ladies.
Absolutely.
definitely.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
definitely.
This is not a gender. This is we are human. This is a.
So it sounds like it's an
dynamic.
epidemic proportions, all right? Would you say?
I'm sorry.
Would you say this is an epidemic of people not knowing how to love themselves?
Absolutely.
Oh man, all over the world.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to, you know, like she said, just lack of foundation.
Okay.
You know.
So what do you tell a young person who's coming up and now they're reaching that age? What's the first thing they need to do? I mean, all right, what would you tell other young ladies that they need to do first before they get involved with anybody else?
Take the time to learn themselves. Learn what they want. Learn what they need. Learn what they desire. Have standards. Define your worth for yourself, not associated to a partner, not associated to accolades, not associate. Identify that for yourself.
Now, one other question: does a young lady cheapen her value if she just goes with anybody? Should she be very selective?
Be very intentional.
Very
It
intentional.
is. I'm gonna just talk to my younger self here. Had I known better, I wouldn't be dating. I would have understood the importance of my body being a temple. I would have understood the importance of spiritual connections and soul ties. I mean,
Are we not teaching young ladies that?
Are we? No. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself to say I wasn't taught those things.
So you were not taught that you were very valuable, that you were special.
No, I was not.
Okay, no one taught you to see you the way God sees you.
I would not say no one, but those people that were in my life to teach me those things passed at a very early age in my life. And so
they weren't there to teach it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I didn't have a foundation from my parents. So I was raised by my grandparents. I became adopted by my aunt, and they did the best that they could. But I will acknowledge that there's those core values that were not instilled within me. Me personally, I didn't learn a lot of these things until college.
So one question. So where should a young lady go to find these core values?
Oh,
I mean, should they not be taught in church?
yeah. Honestly, I was just getting ready to say that. I feel like
But are we teaching them? I mean, but as a church, our church is teaching this to our young people, or are they just kind of like come in on Sunday morning, we get a good shot in, and go home for the weekend? I mean,
Got
go home for the
50-50.
week.
yeah, I think it depends. I think you also have to understand where people are, because I can't. if someone just walks through the church doors and I immediately start talking to them about trauma and how they may not love themselves,
you might chase them away.
exactly. So it's like they may not recognize that they don't love themselves. They may think that they do. I will be honest. I thought I did. I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't understand it.
Right, because what do you compare it to? You have nothing to compare it to.
Exactly. And so that's the point. If you don't have an example, we're literally trying to figure it out and essentially winging it until we become mature enough to say, okay, wait a minute, I'm not okay with these things. Why am I here? What, and that comes with taking the time to self-reflect. I don't necessarily think that there's a time frame for that, but I do think at some point, you have to want better for yourself. And if you don't like the way your life is going, you have the ability to change it. I think the other part of that is that we don't understand we have a choice. We aren't taught truly what it means to have a choice because, like I was saying, a majority of our lives, choices were made for us. And so, once again, if you don't have certain, things in place of a foundation, you really don't know.
You're kind of lost.
Absolutely.
So not the exact same question, but from a young man's point of view. For other young men, what's the first thing they should do?
First thing a man should do, I would say, try to be a friend with a lady,
But what about before you start dating? What should he do? Because remember now, we're talking about a group of people.
Yeah.
They don't know what we just talked about. They don't know self-love. They don't have that concept yet. So what should they do first, and where should they be able to find those values at?
Man, I guess I would say, man, just try to find a mentor. Try to find a leader of some sort. Whether it's a basketball coach, because it's always been there. But are you taking the necessary steps to get there? It could be a teacher. Your father may not have been the best example, but you have many great men around the world. Since I was, in elementary, I had many men in my life. I didn't have to just ask my dad. I was raised in a church, so it's kind of different for me. I had many different mentors, or who could have been a mentor, examples, I would say, in my life. And so it's all about your will. What are you doing? It goes back to what she said. Are you putting in the work? Are you putting in the action? A man has to, because we don't know how. It's in the Bible. God tells us, but who's actually, speaking life into you? Right. Who are you asking? Who are you getting, knowledge from? I think that plays a big part, because you can have men that say, yo, hey, get all the girls. Just make sure you protect yourself.
Right.
I've had that happen to me.
Now that's something that's something I did not tell my sons. And I remember we had that conversation coming home in the car one time, and my oldest daughter asked me, she said, Daddy, suppose I got pregnant out of wedlock. And I said, you would break my heart. I would think I would just die. Blah, 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 blah. But then she said, well, suppose William did. I said, well, just call me Gimpy, because my foot be so far up behind, you think I only got one leg. But that's kind of
you had the same standard for both.
Right,
Everybody also doesn't have that. And as you were speaking to, what came to me was, I think we have to be willing to ask for help. We have to. I think that's honestly where it starts, because once again, we can't help what we don't know. But
exactly.
we do know that there are things that we are lacking, and that is something that we are all aware of.
So would you say that those who are in the church, need to do a better job of communicating this to young people?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
In a way that they can receive it, because...
How do we do that? Is this a method, what we're doing here, a good way of doing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, or you can, start a ministry. We have many different ministries. That could be a ministry. Youth department, that could be a part of that. Under pastor, he gonna have you in charge. We just talked about that. He wants me in mentorship. He wants me to start that. So
because the pastor don't believe members should come in and sit down and not do nothing.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
So we're here.
Right, yeah, we were just talking about
pastor
that.
says, okay, stir up your gift.
Yeah, definitely.
Get busy.
Yep.
Harvest is ripe, the laborers are few. So he's gonna try to get you out on that in that field to get you to work. So yeah,
I'm ready, man. I want to do it. I had a nonprofit called Planting Love and New Trails, and one of the things that we would do is speak to men of the church, young men. If they needed help, if some were just heading in the wrong direction, you know, we would kind of just speak life and just kind of help them out. And I also used to be a part of Dave's Being's bingo mentorship program. And we went to public schools and we would pick a mentee. And a lot of the times, man, these mentees had no examples from their mom or dad. And these are young kids. These are middle school, not even high school yet. And, you know, so it starts at a small age. Right. You know, if they don't have the right foundation in their life, they're going to be a 30-year-old man. And like you say, they're going to be placing his family and children in the wrong direction as well because he didn't have it. So,
So, I'm going to wait to wrap this up for right now. But at the end of every show, what I like to do is have what I call takeaways. So if you have, let's say, at least 2 takeaways for people who are watching tonight, what would they be? I want to start with you first. What 2 takeaways would you give young men to work on in their own lives to get them started in the right direction?
Man,
sorry about putting you on the spot because I know you guys didn't have time to prepare for this.
No, that's fine, man. That's a serious question. I would say, man, as quickly as possible, come to Christ.
Okay.
You know, learn. I mean, anything. Find a church home. Find a leader in your neighborhood, school, work. You know, but you want somebody that can guide you spiritually in the right direction because anybody can teach you how to get money. Anybody can teach you about your credit. Anybody can say, hey, you know, go after all these things of the world. You want to make, man, I had that in my life, my entire life about money, this, money, that. Get the right career, get the right trade. But no one said, build that relationship with Christ. Find out what it is that you have to do so your soul can be saved. I get it now and I'm 28 years old. I'll be 29 tomorrow, you know, and I finally understand how serious this is. We need to know how serious this is at as early as 9, 10 years old because you never know when your time is up.
Okay.
You know, so it's
good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
And you're right. Because I even doing some podcasts on how you can make more money for your family. But that assumption is that you already are there with Christ, and now the reason why you're even listening in is because you're trying to be a better person for Christ so that you can help build his kingdom.
Yep.
So now, the 2 takeaways you would give.
First one would be, don't be afraid to ask for help. It's okay to not know.
Okay.
Asking for help is literally how I have become the woman I am today. Okay. I didn't have it. And so I knew that if I wanted to have a better life, I was going to have to ask for it because the people that I were around, they didn't know. And when you're doing something new for the first time, it comes with a lot of pressure and things that, you know, trials and tribulations. You bump your head, you figure it out. The second thing that I would say is don't give up.
Okay.
Don't give up. Stay encouraged. Find your community in every single way. Hold on to it and grow. Don't be afraid to try new things and stay connected to Christ.
Believe in yourself, for sure. You have to believe in yourself. I think that's no matter what you do in life, school, a business, a marriage, anything, you know, you have to believe in yourself because there's so many naysayers around you and it can cloud your tunnel vision. And, you know, it can hurt you mentally and physically, you know, and if you don't believe yourself, you'll look at life very dim, you know, and you won't go after things, you know, as you should, you know. And there's a book that I can't remember, but it basically says to learn every skill that you can because you don't know which way life will take you, you know. And people say, you know, you can be a jack of all trades but a master of none, but they don't tell you the rest of that. They don't tell you that these trades and these skills can lead you to be the master of something. Right. So, you know, have belief.
Yeah, that's really great.
I'd like to thank my guests tonight. Thank you again. And this was kind of impromptu, so they didn't have time to prepare. So this is them. This is from their heart. Okay? And I would like for other young people, if you're watching this, listen to what was said tonight and try to apply it to your lives because you too are greatly loved, greatly appreciated. You too are selected by God. If you're listening to this is not by chance. This is what God has for you. And you can move forward in life too. are applying these same principles. So thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you. Bye.
I'm turning away. I'm turning away. I'm turning away.